Time now for this week's Goofy Award. I think it's important to understand that the release of Mark Carney's extensive investment holdings, over 500 stocks, comes against the backdrop of the lowest level of trust for politicians in our history. The 2025 CanTrust Index found that only 17% of Canadians said they trust politicians. That backdrop also includes numerous conflict of interest and ethics violations by the Liberal government, including Prime Minister Trudeau, former Finance Minister Bill Morneau, Minister Mary Ng, who awarded a media training contract to a firm co-founded by her longtime friend Amanda Alvaro. You also have there Dominic LeBlanc, who is Fisheries Minister, awarded a multi-million-dollar fishing license to a company linked to his wife's cousin. Now, to say there's a trust issue when it comes to politicians and their private holdings and dealings is an understatement, which is exacerbated, by the way, by the blatant cronyism in handing out contracts like the multi-million-dollar We Charity scandal, which exposed close family ties to both Justin Trudeau and Bill Morneau, or the sole source $237 million contract for ventilators to Baylis Medical, which was founded and owned by former Liberal MP Frank Baylis, or the $120 million in contracts given to McKinsey and Company between 2015 and 2023, whose close ties with senior Liberal staffers, including Trudeau advisor Dominic Barton, turned out to be what? They gave him contracts worth 40 times more than the Conservatives had before them. As I said, confidence in politicians at an all-time low. And whether they acknowledge it or not, declining trust is a serious threat to the legitimacy of government, which has profound consequences for society as a whole. And the fact that Prime Minister Carney waited until after the election to release a list of his extensive holdings, well, that doesn't help. Maybe it was because his elbows up rhetoric didn't quite apply to his personal holdings, which are overwhelmingly in U.S. stocks. Or maybe it's the holding of major U.S. oil companies while he talks about net zero. But please note, he was under no obligation to release his holdings before the election, and he complied with the conflict of interest requirements by placing his holdings in a blind trust with an arm's length trustee approved by the Ethics Commissioner. Making all decisions about those assets going forward, Mr. Carney doesn't have any idea what the impact will be or not, because going forward, he will be blinded from knowing what is in his investment portfolio. But come on, he sure knows what's in it now. It's a good bet the vast majority of investments will be in it for the long term. As Democracy Watch states, a trust is not blind if the Prime Minister knows what's in it. Democracy Watch goes on to state that the so-called ethics screen, which is meant to isolate and remove Prime Minister Carney from decision-making that impact his holding, is, in quotes, an unethical, loophole-filled smokescreen that allows him to participate in and hide that he is participating in almost every decision that affects the companies he's invested in. Now, it's not the Prime Minister's fault that our conflict of interest laws pertaining to politicians are so weak, but I'll bet he'll make no attempt to make them more effective. And they are weak. Come on, I'm thinking about this myself. I could be at the other side of the world, and I'd still know what policies impact my holdings of things like uranium and gold or silver companies, along with anything else that I own. For many, make that a majority of Canadians who suspect that politicians, and first and foremost, are in it for themselves, this problem is not going away.